Today we're going to be firing up the Pit Boss Competition Series smoker and doing some smoked chicken teriyaki skewers. And there's nothing quite like chicken teriyaki skewers. They just have that distinct flavor. They're just super juicy, super tasty. Today I'm going to share a super simple recipe that you can follow along, and you're going to want to stay to the end of this video because I'm going to put a little Grill Sergeant spin on it at the end. But before we fire up the smoker, let's look over the ingredients. The main thing you're going to need is chicken, obviously. So I got a package here of chicken breast tenders. Now, as far as the rubs, sauces, marinades, I have Pit Boss's Sweet Heat that I'm just going to use a very little of, but I like the sweetness and the heat that it brings. Now, when it comes to making your own teriyaki sauce, you can make it from scratch. I find this very, very teriyaki, just has amazing flavors. And then as far as garnish, I do have some green onion, but we also have this white and black sesame seeds. We just want, this stuff to look good. We have some bamboo skewers, a few other tools. Let's get rocking. All right, first thing we're gonna need to do is cube up our chicken. So let's get started with that. Look at the year on that knife from when the company was started, 1267. How many companies do you know that were like, oh yeah, we were around, we were making, samurai swords for dignitaries, but we got into cutlery. All right, so I have my chicken tender right here. We're just going to cube them up. Definitely don't want to cut them too thin because then they are going to be hard to skewer. All right, now I'm going to add a little bit of the Pit Boss's Sweet Heat. Flip these around. Hit up the backside. Now I have a little 1 gallon Ziploc bag here. I'm going to get the chicken into the bag. All right, I'm going to add some of the teriyaki marinade into the bag. You don't want to use all of it, but just enough to get all the chicken pieces nice and coated. All right, I'm going to put this in the refrigerator and let it marinate for about an hour or two. But now let's check out the smoker. So this is the updated Competition Series line. You can get this at Academy, but this size to me is perfect. Definitely you have a lot of space. I'm not going to be using the top rack for this cook, so I'm actually going to remove the top rack. All right, let's turn her on. I'm going to set the target temp to 375. For pellets, I'm going to be using Pit Boss's Mesquite blend. Now, we are going to be cooking at 375, and at higher temps, you're going to get less of a smoke presence. So this mesquite, being a stronger smoky wood, is going to give a nice smoke flavor to this chicken. All right, it is time to skewer up this chicken. Now, a bonus tip, what you can do is you can take your bamboo skewers, you can actually pre-soak them in water, and that gives less chance of a flare-up. Since we're doing it on the Pit Boss and you have a heat deflector, there's really not much of a chance for these bamboo skewers to actually light, but just something that I like doing. So now we're gonna take our chicken and start getting it onto the skewers. Now you'd be surprised, kids actually love doing this. So if you do have kids at home, definitely this is fun for the family. Get them involved. And that's why I like making the chicken pieces in these about 1-inch cubes, because if you make them too thin, they're very, very hard to get on. All right, and we will tune back in when I finish up these skewers. Could take a bit. All right, now that we got the chicken skewered up, I'm gonna add a little bit more of this marinade to a bowl, and that we're gonna use that to glaze on the chicken once it's on the grill. All right, we are up to 375, so let's get this chicken on. It's been 5 minutes. Let's give these a little flip. All right, tune back another 5 minutes. It's been another 5 minutes. I'm gonna give these a flip. And we're just gonna keep on doing this until they hit about 165 internal. And you'll know it's gonna have some, nice char on it and whatnot. But until then, we're just gonna keep on flipping and glazing. All right. Give a little flippy flip. There we go. So that color right there, that's pretty much, we know we're getting close, that's for sure. All right, home stretch. I think we're almost done. Let's get these off. They are temping about 175 internal. I am loving the color on them right now. So we'll just get these off right now. All right, let's get these dolled up. Do one last coating on top here. Really makes that color pop on these. Oh man, they smell so good. All right, now I got some sesame seeds. I'm gonna use as a garnish. Little splash of color. Some green onions. Well, hot dang, that almost looks like a Pinterest cover. Now, before we do the taste test, I told you at the end of this video I was gonna do something, little spin to it, and that is I'm gonna be adding, this is what I like, I'm only gonna be doing it to a few of these, but adding a little Sriracha Aioli. You can use Sriracha Mayo, but just that little extra sauce on it, I think pairs perfect with the chicken. So let's drizzle a few of these up. Tell me that don't look amazing. And now for my favorite part, the taste test. Let's go in here. This was a fun cook. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Grill Surgeon out.